Blood stained the ground beneath Ryan's feet, a grim reminder of the price of survival in this sick, twisted world of Squid Games. Yet, even amongst the chaos, Ryan's eyes were fixated on one person. Player 230. Thanos. His laughter echoed through the bleak room, carefree and charismatic, just as it always had been. He leaned against the wall, his muscular frame relaxed, and a cocky smile plastered on his face. It was hard not to be drawn by him. Ryan had been, from the moment they'd first met, huddled in fear during the first of the game. His presence was the beacon of confidence. Ryan's heart ached with a love that they felt was misplaced in this hellish nightmare. But love, and no matter how foolish, was love. And Thanos was theirs. Or Ryan thought so. The betrayal came swiftly, like a knife to the chest Ryan hadn't meant to see. They had just been searching for him, desperate for his comfort after the horrors of the last game, but instead, what they found shattered them. Thanos, his hands wrapped around another player's waist and his lips pressed against theirs, moving with the same passion that he had once shown to Ryan. The way he held them tenderly, gently, it was the same way that he had held Ryan, in the shadows, whispering promises of survival and freedom. Ryan's vision blurred with tears, their heart crumbling as reality finally began to set in. He was never theirs. Not really. The games were cool, but this hurt more than any bullet or any blade or any guard ever could. Swallowing the bitter lump in their throat, Ryan backed away. Their footsteps silent as they slipped into the darkness. No one noticed. No one ever noticed. In this place, people vanished all the time, but Ryan wasn't gone. No, they were very much present, and their love for Thanos was still there. Twisted and shattered, but it was there. Yet alongside it, a new feeling began brewing. Vengeance. The next game was brutal, a race across a crumbling platform where one wrong step meant plummeting to your death. Thanos was agile, laughing as he leaped from one panel to the next. His charisma was as magnetic as ever. Ryan's eyes never left him. Every muscle in their body burned with every heartbeat. It was a reminder of the pain they caused. They followed him closely, their movements precise and calculated. They knew his rhythm, his pace. They'd memorized everything about him. The end was near. Only a few panels remained, and Thanos was in the lead, his arrogant grin mocking the danger beneath him. Ryan's opportunity came in a flash. Thanos' foot slipped, his balance wavering. Without hesitation, Ryan lunged forward, grabbing his arm, steadying him. He looked back surprised, his eyes locking onto theirs. "Ryan, you saved me," he said, voice dripping with gratitude, albeit a bit confused. Ryan's smile was sweet, deceptive. "Of course. I love you. Remember?" The words tasted like poison in their tongue, but it wasn't worth the way he softened, the guilt flickering in them for a moment. But the guilt wasn't strong enough. As he began to regain his balance, Ryan's grip tightened. They stepped back, their weight shifting just enough for it to tip him off through the edge. Thanos' eyes widened into horror as his foot missed the edge. "Ryan, no!" he screamed. It was brief, but it was cut off by his body plunging into the abyss. The impact echoed through the arena, followed by the silence. Ryan stood there, heart pounding, and their face with a mask of calm. Inside they were shattered, every piece of their love for him was twisted into something completely unrecognizable. They whispered, their voice lost in the wind. "I told you. I loved you." And with that, Ryan turned away. Their steps steady as they crossed the final platform, leaving him behind, and they didn't look back. The night air was cold. It was thick. As the remaining players huddled together, whispering about Thanos' death, Ryan listened in on the silence. Their face was blank and their heart was heavy. They could see in his eyes, they were wide, with betrayal, his hand reaching out for them as he fell. They had loved him, and he had broken them. But the game wasn't over. Not yet, and Ryan wasn't done playing. Not by a long shot. They glanced at the empty spot where Thanos once stood. Their jaw clenched. This was only the beginning. Because if love was a game, then Ryan was ready to play to the bitter, evil end, no matter the cost. As the day dragged on, the days passed. Each game was more brutal than the last. Ryan moved with precision. Their steps were calculated. Their face was a mask of cold indifference. Inside, however, they were anything but calm.
Be making anything.
His eyes haunted them. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the final look of terror as he fell. Ryan's love for him hadn't died. His screams lingered, festering like an open wound, twisting into something ugly and consuming.
Whatever you say,
they wanted to forget him, to move on, but
shaking his head as he
his
watched them
laughter
go
still
back to their
echoed in their
game.
mind. His
He had
touch
to
was
admit
burned
their
on their
energy
skin.
was addictive.
They were
He
haunted,
loved people who could
cursed
keep
to
up
relive
with
the
the
pain of his
nonsense and
betrayal
judging by the
over
way his own
and
community
over
was hyping
and
this
over
up,
again.
they wanted a collab.
Yet, amidst the chaos, a
Maybe
whisper reached Ryan's
that wouldn't
eyes.
be such a bad
A
idea.
rumor that had made their hearts stop.
So I am.
Player
He tried,
230
smirking a little bit.
wasn't
Since
dead.
I'm apparently not allowed to be a casual viewer when we
They'd
run
heard
some
from a
games.
trembling girl.
Ryan
Her
took
eyes
their
were
head
wide with fear as she
pretend to
spoke. I saw him.
I could say
Thanos,
no,
he was
but
talking to the guards.
apparently you're a fan, so
Ryan's blood ran cold.
maybe I have to
They
put you
grabbed
in
the
my
girl's
schedule.
arms. Their grip was like iron.
His chat
Where?
lost it.
They
A message
demanded.
quickly popped up.
Behind
They got
the
two
door.
limped already.
Another
I
quickly
thought he was
after
dead,
that.
but he was
Collab
laughing
confirmed.
with them.
Another one.
Oh
Ryan's
yeah,
heart
this is about to
twisted
be
with
a
a cold
movie.
rage filling their veins.
Queso just
They let
shook
go
his
of
head
the girl,
gently.
watching as she stumbled away, her
Man,
heart full
y'all
of
are too
fear.
much power.
So that was it.
Fun.
But he
I'll
was
hit
alive,
I'll hit you up.
and he was working with the
Okay.
very people who
Ryan
orchestrated this
said it again.
nightmare.
Let's make it happen.
Their hands shook.
It started with a
Their
single
nails digging
collab.
into their palm.
After Queso's
He'd lied
chat
to them,
practically
betrayed
bullied
them,
him into
and now he was
reaching
playing a
out,
different game.
he and Ryan
One
had
that put them all
off
at
stream
risk.
for a couple of weeks, just some casual texts, some memes, and
Love
some
was a
late-night
dangerous
conversations
thing.
about Twitch, content creation, and
But
betrayal
betrayal
was
was
the best
fatal.
for getting real ugly
Ryan
screams out of
moved like a
people.
shadow, slipping
But
through the
then
dim
came their
hallways.
first
Their footsteps
official
silent, the
stream
guards
together.
distracted.
The
Their
second
focus
they
was on
went
live,
live,
Ryan and
Queso
Queso
on the
huddled into the
ropes.
dorms.
Not because
No
they
one
were
saw
better
Ryan
at
disappear
games,
into the
though, to be
darkness.
fair, they were holding their
Like
own.
I said,
But because
people
they were
disappeared all the
ruthless
time
with
around
teasing.
here.
Damn,
But unlike
okay,
Ryan,
so
they
y'all
didn't
gonna
cut
stream
back.
like that?
The fan
Ryan
turned
asked,
behind a
grinning as
storage
they
room, his
dodged
back
an
turned,
in-game
his voice
enemy.
was low as he laughed at the
Queso
guard.
huffed, adjusting his headset.
Thanos,
Man, chill out.
alive,
You
whole
acted
and
wasn't
perfect.
scary.
He looked
I
exactly
don't
as Ryan
know.
remembered. The
Ryan
face that
tapped
had
their
been
chin.
haunting her dreams.
Think I
Charming
kinda
and
like hearing
charismatic,
you
his
scream.
smile disarming.
His chat erupted.
How many lies
Hello?
had that smile
A message read,
promised?
nah, they flirting for real.
How many of
Another
promises
read,
did he break?
Queso, you gonna let that slide? The final one
Ryan's vision
came.
blurred with rage.
Queso felt the heat
Every
creeping
part of
up
them
his
screamed
neck,
to
but he
attack
refused
to make him
let
feel the
them catch him
pain they had
slipping.
suffered.
Yeah,
But they held back, their body tense and their
You
heart
said
pounding.
was dope.
They needed answers.
He tried to make me fumble
They
on
needed the
live.
truth.
That's crazy. Ryan
Thanos?
smirked. What's crazy is that you're dodging my question.
His body stiffened.
Do you always
His
scream
laughter
at that, or
dying.
am I just
Slowly
super
he turned, his
special?
eyes widening as they landed on Ryan. For a moment,
Case's
he looked
chat
genuine
was
surprise,
absolutely
maybe scared.
chaos in this moment.
Wait,
Queso was sweating a little,
Ryan,
but
you're
not because
still
he was
alive?
nervous.
His voice was
maybe he just
cautious.
was
He
a
guarded.
little nervous, but he was trying
Ryan's
to stay
jaw
respectful.
clenched.
See,
You
if this was
watched
any
me.
other situation,
You watched me survive
they
every
were
game and you never
in
said a
any
word.
kind of game, and
He ran
kinda
a different
handed his hair.
stream.
Maybe
His
he would have
charming
flown
mask
back.
for a moment.
Maybe he would have leaned into it.
I didn't
just
think
wasn't
you'd
how
make
he
it this
rolled.
far.
Listen, he was raised to
You
be
hoped I
hunted,
wouldn't.
and no matter how
Ryan
much Ryan was
snapped the rose
throwing at
coat.
him,
You wanted
he
me to
wasn't
die
gonna
so he
cross
wouldn't
any
have to
lines.
face me.
So
he wouldn't have
instead
to
he
admit
laughed,
what you
shaking his
did.
head. Man,
He didn't
chat
respond,
really
his eyes
hyping this
flickering
up.
with something
Y'all reaching
unreadable.
for anything, huh?
Ryan took a step forward,
Why
his fist
raise an
shaking.
eyebrow?
Was it all a
No,
lie?
it's chat's fault. You
Everything was
dodged
just
me
a pawn in
like
your
a bad
game.
Wi-Fi connection.
He hesitated.
Nah,
His
one
mouth
message
opened
popped
for
up.
closing
They
once more. He
cooking
looked
you,
away,
bro.
his shoulders tense.
Queso getting bullied in HD 4K.
I
He groaned,
what I
rubbing
did
his
to
face at the
survive.
chat. Wyan cackled.
It's not exactly like
You're really gonna make me a
you
headline
were the best
tonight, huh?
either.
Wyan shrugged.
Don't
I
you
just,
dare.
I mean,
Wyan
people
hit.
left the
The
door
was slow and dangerous.
Maybe I just want to
Don't
see
you
what
dare
it
try
takes
to
to
justify
slip up.
it. They whispered.
Queso smirked,
His eyes
shaking
flashed with
head.
anger.
It never
You
happened.
don't
Locked
understand.
in, baby. Steel
You
trap.
never did. I had no choice.
But when he said that, he felt his heart race when
always a
Wyan laughed at the
choice.
nickname.
Wyan
Oh,
whimpered.
baby,
Their heart
huh?
shattering again.
They grinned.
You
That
chose to
slipped
betray
out?
me. You chose
You left
to use me for what?
His
win?
chair when he felt
To
his soul
save
leave his
yourself?
body. Chat
Thanos' jaw
exploded.
tightened.
Oh, he could.
I did what I
One
had to
message
do.
popped up.
And if you were smart, you'd do the same.
No.
Lan's
Bro
chest
packed
tightened, a
himself
cold
up.
realization washing over them.
One came over the other. Queso
You're not
tried to
even
recover.
sorry.
Yo,
Yeah, I was
His
not
face softened, his eyes darkening with
flirting.
something
Y'all
that
gotta
almost
stop
looked like
trying to
regret.
gaslight me. That's just how I talk. Relax.
Ryan leaned closer to the camera.
My voice dropping
I
into
didn't
something
want
smoother and
to hurt
teasing.
you, but in this
Mm.
place, love is
So
weakness.
what you're saying is you talk to everyone like that.
Ryan felt
He opened his mouth and
tears
shut it
burning
and
their
opened it
eyes.
again.
Their vision blurring.
Next game. He muttered, clicking way too aggressively through the menu. Ryan
Even
lost it,
after
laughing.
everything,
Damn, look at him trying to run from the conversation.
Threw it away. You threw
The entire stream was
me
gold, and
away.
it blew up. The next day, TikTok was
Thanos
flooded
looked
with
away, his
clips.
shoulders sagging.
Queso got no riz.
It was easier
A video
that way.
with over 1 million views was looping.
The words
The
cut
moment
deep,
he
sharper
called
than any
Ryan
knife.
baby,
Ryan
and
took a
immediately
deep
tried to
breath,
change the
their hands
subject.
trembling.
Ryan had him fighting for his life.
I should
One
kill
caption read,
you.
"This one
Right
just replayed
here."
every moment Ryan flirted with
He looked
him
at
with a
them, his
dramatic
eyes wide and
smile on his
vulnerable.
face. He tried to keep his composure. So why don't you chat?
Queso, do something.
Ryan hesitated.
A
Their heart
confirmation
twisting
of
despite
him
dodging
everything,
Ryan's
the
teasing
lies,
like
the
his
betrayal,
life
the
depended on
pain.
it. The internet
Maybe they
ate
still loved
it
him.
up. And Queso,
And I think that was the
well,
coolest
he just
betrayal of
sighed when he
all.
saw the clips.
Because it was
Not because he was
internal.
mad, because
It wasn't
man,
something
they
they could
really had him
control.
out here looking clueless. His phone buzzed.
I don't
Text from
know.
Ryan. They whispered, "Yo,
Their voice breaking.
you okay? I didn't take it too far,
I
did
don't
I?"
know why I still care.
Before he could really
He took a
respond,
step forward, his eyes
shook
pleading.
his head, smiling a little
Ryan,
bit before
it's
typing
not
back.
too late.
He
We
typed,
can still survive
"Nah,
together.
you
Just
were wild,
trust me.
but it was funny.
One more time."
Chat just ain't never gonna let me live this
Ryan
down."
stared at him, their heart aching.
Ryan typed,
They wanted to believe
"Oh
him.
yeah,
They wanted to
you're
fall into his
cooked."
arms and let him fix
Queso
everything he'd
responded,
broken.
"Yeah, appreciate that."
But they couldn't.
Ryan responded,
Not anymore.
"Anytime, baby." Their eyes
He stared at
hardened,
the text
and
and was
sighed,
cold.
and locked his phone.
I trusted you once. And
Yeah, he was done for.
I can't trust you again.
They turned away, their body trembling as they walked into the darkness, leaving him behind. Thanos' voice echoed as he called for them, but they didn't stop, they didn't look back, because in this game, love is a weakness, and Ryan wasn't going to lose again. Ryan felt like the days were growing longer, the games more brutal. Ryan moved through each round with a mechanical precision, their heart hardened and their resolve unwavering. His betrayal was like a wound that refused to heal, festering beneath the surface of every breath. They saw him sometimes, watching from the shadows, his eyes fixated on them, but he never approached. He never spoke, but Ryan could feel his presence. It was heavy and suffocating. But it was easier to hate him than to focus on what he had left behind. It was lingering, it was stubborn and unyielding, but the anger was exhausting and consuming. In the moments between them, between the games, when the world was silent and the guards were down, Ryan's mind would drift back to him, his smile, his touch, his whispered promises. Lies, all of them, but lies that had felt so real in the moment. Lies they wanted to believe even now. But the world had no place for weakness, and neither did love. The next game was cruel, designed to break them physically and mentally. A maze of shifting walls, traps at every corner, one wrong turn meant death. Ryan moved swiftly, their eyes sharp and their body tense. They were alone. The silence was pressing into them. She didn't know if it was more comforting to be alone or with the others, but it did feel suffocating in the moment. The air was heavy with the scent of blood and fear. And then they heard it. That unmistakable voice. Ryan's heart skipped a beat, their body freezing as they listened. He was calling out, his voice echoing the maze, desperate and panicked. "Ryan, where are you?" he called. But they wanted to ignore him, to keep moving to survive. But their feet wouldn't budge, their heart betraying them once again. He sounded scared, vulnerable. Ryan gritted their teeth, cursing themselves as they followed his voice. Their step was quick and quiet. They knew it could be a trap, knew that he could be lying, manipulating them again. But they couldn't stop themselves, not when he sounded like that. They found him against a dead end, his back against a wall, his eyes wide with fear. He was bleeding, a deep gash running down his leg, his pale face. For a moment, Ryan stood there, their heart aching even now, even after everything. He looked so perfect, like a fragile human. "Ryan, you came." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Don't flatter yourself." They approached, their eyes never leaving his, their body tense and ready for attack. He didn't move, his shoulders sagging in exhaustion. "Please, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it alone," he whispered, his voice raw. Ryan's chest tightened, their resolve wavering. What should they do? You need to decide.